Hey guys, what's up? Icebreaker here. I am on my Smoky Assassin account and I want to show you some tricks of the trade when it comes to using Scorchers. You can see I've got a bullet and there's a sneaky little grappler in there, so I'm going to show you how we make the most of using grapplers and Scorchers and really anything else that comes with using Scorchers. I'm going to show you all right here, right now. Stay tuned. Hey guys, so let's jump straight in. We'll take a look at some stats. I've got max level Scorchers. Base damage and health is 4950 health and 1175 damage. As you probably know by now, the unit size has been changed from 21 to 14. So now you can fit 2 on a max level landing craft. 50 minutes apiece, 75,000 gold. And like I say, you can get 2 per landing craft. GBE costs, because they're an armoured unit, they cost 8 GBE a piece, so that's 16 GBE per landing craft if you have them maxed. So you need 128 gunboat energy to launch all 8 boats at once, if that's how you want to play it. I'm going to go over some strategies to show you how you can get around that. If you like me, you don't run enough gunboat energy statues to be able to land them all and still have like shocks and flares and things. So statues on this account, you can see I'm running 5-5-1, so that's 5 gunboat energy, 5 troop damage, and 1 troop health. Troop health, it helps. As with any armoured loadout, troop health is definitely an advantage. But I wouldn't say this is a strategy that requires troop health, unlike some others like RZCM, for example, really does benefit from having a troop health statue. It's a lot more consistent. But when it comes to running armoured units like Scorchers, tanks, mechs, things like that, it's optional, the troop health statue. You can definitely still run these loadouts without it. So let's jump in. The little teaser that I did at the start was this attack. This is all Scorchers and bullet and taunt. This is the base layout. You can see he's tried to hide his grappler up here in the trees, which I noticed. So what I did is landed bullet first, let the grappler snatch him, cover him with a smoke like so. And then I just waited for the smoke timer to wind down. I've already pressed taunt at this stage, so I know as soon as the smoke expires, taunt's going to be activated. So once the smoke's getting close, I've landed as many boats as I could, which is all my gunboat energy will allow me to do at that point. And then it's just a case of letting them roll through the base, keeping that shock launcher, the grappler, and the doom cannon there taunted so that they didn't focus on the troops. And really, that is all there is to it at this point using Scorchers. To be fair, you can literally roll through 90% of bases with losing minimal, if any, troops. You can see I did get a couple of more boats down towards the end when I had more gunboat energy. But generally, that's pretty much all there is to using Scorchers. But that said, there are other tactics where you can use Scorchers in other ways. You don't have to use all 8 boats of. You can use loadouts like take traditional TBM. You can throw a boat of Scorchers in with that, and you'd have it loaded like that. And the reason for that is because when this is one of the loadouts that you would use on crab. The trick to this is you use the second boat of Scorcher. You use the boat of Scorchers as almost like a second bullet. How you'd have bullet out front protecting the tanks and gramps behind. You can do the same thing with a boat of Scorchers, except now if you use bullet as well, you can drop bullet one side like that, the Scorchers the other, and then just fill in the gap in the middle. And that way, then the bullet takes the heat from one side, the Scorchers take the heat from the other, this is particularly useful against bases that, or maps that have a lot of rocket launchers and stuff, because they'll melt tanks pretty quick. But it works just as well on PvP. See, the Scorchers are going to go down on this one, but you get the idea. You can use them as distraction. They don't have to be a solid troop combo on its own. You can get away with just using one boat or two boats. And obviously this is just one troop combo that can benefit from having a Scorcher thrown in. You can also use them with all Zookers, so you'd have a Skooker loadout. This is another option. You can use Zookers and Scorcher. This would be with Brick or Sparky. Back in the day, before the days of heroes and other changes now in the game, maps like Manticore, you used to use a Scorcher on Manticore to do the Zooker rush, where you'd shock the Scorcher above core and pull the Zookers down a little bit, kind of like what you do with Bullet these days in some maps. So Scorchers are, you know, they're a good option for a secondary trooper too, as well as one on their own. The other option is Skanks. Now Banks is Bullet, energy drink, and all tanks. You can change that to Skanks, which is Scorchers, tanks, and you can either, personally I wouldn't run more than 3. I probably wouldn't even run that these days. I'd probably run 2 boats of Scorchers and the rest is tanks. These are loadout. This sort of loadout will benefit from not using medics, because obviously the Scorchers will toddle off and do their own thing, and the medics will follow them and die. So it's better off having Scorchers out front, the tanks in behind, and then you can either use Bullet energy drink, you could use Taunt, or Critter Swarm, or Remote Hack from Sparky, Second Wind maybe. Obviously Second Wind will bring a Scorcher back. So there's a few loadouts there that, you know, can benefit from using Scorchers too. But let's look at the basics when it comes to Scorchers. People always say they've got a really short attention span. Now what they mean by that is, when you land them, you'll see that they will start burning something and then they'll move straight onto another building. They don't do direct damage as such. It's almost like a splash damage troop. The way it works is the Scorchers will roll up to a building or a defense. They'll burn it for a few seconds, which will give it initial damage. And then you can see there the afterburn effect will add a little bit more damage to that building, whilst the Scorcher goes off and starts burning another building, say. So they do direct damage and a little bit of splash damage. Now, thing to remember as well as with Scorchers is, on the subject of splash damage, is when they're destroyed, they explode. Now that explosion, if you're using troops such as Zookers or Gramps, Riflemen, anything like that, when that Scorcher explodes, that Scorcher could take out your own troops. The explosion would also do damage to buildings and troops, like I say. So you've got to watch for that when you're using other squishier troops with your Scorchers. When it comes to hero options, we've got Bullet and Taunt is a really strong option. Now the way I like to use Bullet and Taunt is a little different to some people. When it comes to using Taunt, this is sort of how I would do it, because obviously I run mostly crab accounts, so GBE is always a problem for me. I'm always short on gunboat energy. So what I would do is toss a flare into the base and just let that tick down about halfway on its own. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop Bullet under smoke. I'm going to smoke him up to the flare like that. I'm going to activate Taunt, And then it's just a case of waiting for the flare to be almost run out and the smoke to almost run out before I drop my troops. So now you can see he's activated Taunt there, which would pull in all boom cannons, or people who've got really heavily defended beaches and stuff. You can use that little trick to pull in all the defenses, so you can run the Scorchers up the beach into the defenses and gain up some gunboat energy. As you can see, I still didn't have enough there to land all my troops at that time. So using the smoky Taunt trick like that can definitely give you enough time to burn up enough buildings for enough energy to drop the rest of your troops, or to build up energy to use for shocks. As you can see, they literally just roll through the whole base. It's not, you know, once they're up and running, it's just a case really of keeping the shock launchers pinned down so that they don't stop them while they're getting shot, which is why TD is really important when it comes to grinding out bases in this style. The quicker you can take a defense down, the less time it has to fire multiple times and potentially kill your troops. The other option would be energy drink, and this is a similar sort of style to what you would see with banks. The logic is you have Bullet out front, where he can soak up the damage from defenses and stuff. You'd have your Scorchers or your tanks in behind. Now the thing with Scorchers is, like I said, they've got a really short attention span, so they will literally burn buildings and then shoot straight into the base and leave Bullet behind. So this isn't a tactic that I would personally recommend. I think there are other hero options that are better than energy drink for Scorchers. But yeah, if you had Bullet out front, he'd be soaking up the damage from defenses, and you could be topping up his health with the energy drink bar when needed. That's sort of the logic behind using energy drink for these type of attacks. But yeah, as you can see, the Scorchers, because they don't stand in one place and destroy the building they're attacking, they move on to the next quite quickly. So you know, Bullet sort of gets left behind because he won't do that. He'll stand and stay at the first row of defenses he gets to. So you'll end up getting left behind. But it is an option there. You can experiment with that, see what you think. Shock Knuckles are also quite a good combo for grindy attacks with tanks, Scorchers and stuff. But again, like I say, the Scorchers are going to run off and do their own thing, and if you've got Scorchers on sort of behind a row of defenses that Bullet was attacking, so for example, if Bullet was stood in front of this flamethrower and the Scorchers have already gone straight past this cannon to the sniper tower, and you activate Shock Knuckles on the flamethrower, the shocks that come from the knuckles are going to hit the Scorchers that are in this sort of area, which means they'll get shocked. So, you know, you've got to be careful that you're not going to be shocking your own troops when using Shock Knuckles. It's just something to be aware of when planning your attacks. And the good thing about Shock Knuckles is they clear mines too. So we could drop them out first like that, drop a few in behind him, hit Knuckles straight away just to get the initial shocks down on the beach. You can see we cleared some mines. Then you can start shocking stuff up ahead. And you can see there how his Shock Knuckles there shocked his own troops. See if we can do it again. Yeah, that one there has been shocked by his Shock Knuckles. So yeah, like I say, it is a good option, but it has its limits when it comes to friendly fire and stuff. You got to be really careful you don't shock your own troops. But in occasions like that, when you can time it well, you can get all the things behind the core pinned down with Shock Knuckles. But yeah, that's another option there, guys. I think Bullet is kind of limited when it comes to troops that are much quicker than he is. Sparky, on the other hand, I personally would go with Sparky critters, and the reason for that is critters are quite quick, and because the Scorchers are going to go off and do their own thing, they'll be taking all the fire while she sort of feeds critters in from behind. So for this combo, you'd land your Scorchers first and then Sparky. Now you can see straight away that the Scorchers have run off, and you can just feed her critter swarm into the battle every now and again. Obviously you get her little passive critters as well. You get the 2 or 3 that she naturally feeds off occasionally anyway, but when it's getting to the point where you're running into lots of boom cannons and stuff, or cannons, you can spam that button just in time for when the Scorchers get there, that the critters are there just like getting past them at the same time, so just for enough distraction for long enough for the Scorchers to burn their way through without being taken down by loads of cannons and stuff. Personally, if I was going to run all Scorchers, this would be the method that I would use, simply because it's distraction. It's a no-brainer. The critters are just as fast, if not a bit quicker, than Scorchers, so they're much more valuable than potentially shocking your own troops or being left behind with another hero. The remote hack would also be a good option. You could either hack the shock launchers first before the attack. So if you wanted to, you could jump into a base, find out where the shock launchers are, drop down Sparky, get her up into position, and then you could just use her to take out the shock launchers before you land your troops. But obviously doing this is going to eat your gunboat energy quite fast, so it's not the ideal tactic, but it is one that will work. You could also use Sparky, in behind the Scorchers and doing this, but just for her passive ability, really, more than anything else, for those passive critters. Because if you try to use her remote, chances are you'll use, it'll take the GBE off you for using it, but by the time she moves into possession to hack a defense, the Scorchers will have already burnt through it anyway. So it's sort of a waste of a GBE using it that way. I think if you're going to use the remote hack, use it before you land the troops. But like I say, just be aware that GBE will then be tight. As you can see, I can only afford to drop 3 boats of troops on that one. Still got the win anyway, but something to keep in mind there, guys. Okay, so next, the other option is the the explosive charge, but I would advise against using this one simply because it does splash damage. So although it would be good against the defenses and mines and stuff, it would also potentially take out your Scorchers as well, especially if you've got it leveled up. It'd be strong enough to kill off a Scorcher, I expect, within 1 or 2 hits. Ice Shield is a pretty solid option. The only thing I would say about using Cavern is because he will follow the Scorchers into the battle. Because the Scorchers will run past all the defenses and start burning the ones behind it, there's a really good possibility that Cavern is going to follow those troops straight into the battle and either step on a boom mine, or he's going to get picked off by a boom cannon or a rocket launcher or something before you can get to use him. But if I was going to use him, I would use Crystal Shield, Ice Shield maybe, would be a pretty good option, especially for the landing. That'd be really good for getting off the beach, especially there's lots of boom cannons and cannons and that lined up on the beach. Ice Shield, using Ice Shield as you land the troops would be a pretty solid option. And Second Wind as well, once it's maxed, you can bring back Scorchers with Second Wind, so that one's a good option too. With Brick, Battle Orders are pretty good, and Iron Will is okay, but Ice Shield is better when it comes to that type of ability. So if you're going to go with Iron Will, take Ice Shield instead. Battle Orders is quite fun, quite a fun one to use. you can rip through somebody's base really quickly with brick. Can shot that and that. So yeah, you can rack up GB really quick with brick. If you get it, yeah, abilities timed well, that she catches enough of them, she'll make them rip through the base faster than the defenses can take them down. But again, it's a case of the Scorchers will outpace her eventually. So that's something there to be mindful of as well. So yeah, guys, that's really your hero options. My personal preference would be critters from Sparky, Crit Swarm, or battle orders from brick. Would be my go-tos with using all Scorchers. If you're going to use combos like skanks, then it's going to be with bullet and energy drink. Like I said, remember guys, they are really expensive to land. They're not cheap. 128 GBE is a lot, especially when you're unboosted. I have 5 gunboat energy statues on here unboosted, and I cannot land all 8 boats. So I need to farm up GB first. So you can either use other troops with them. Use the Scorchers as a backup troop combo, or you could even throw in 1 boat of Gramps with all Scorchers and just use that 1 boat of Gramps to farm off some defenses on the beach to build up a bit of GB to land the other 7 boats maybe. That's an option. I think the main use for Scorchers, or it has been in the past, has been to use it as a support troop. So in troop combos like skanks, so you've got Scorchers and tanks, Skooka, which is Scorchers and Zookers, like I said, for the Manti Rush. A really iconic one I think a lot of people would have seen maybe on YouTube or have done themselves is the Cooker Rush, where you have a situation like this where you use a Scorcher to distract all the lasers, and the lasers lock onto the Scorcher while your Zookers pound core. That was a really standard attack for hitting Cooker before the Age of Heroes. Obviously now you can use bullet, or you can use the Scorcher still as the distraction and use brick and battle orders for the Zookers, so you kind of get the best of both worlds there. I think since the HQ24 update, the Scorcher is definitely becoming much more mainstream, especially at the moment as well, since we've got a Scorcher damage tribe, which just makes them even more ridiculous. Mixing them with tanks, which have life leech at the moment, just makes skanks absolutely dominant. If you're struggling to clear your map right now with these tribes, you need to be using skanks. There is nothing that is going to defend against skanks right now at the moment with these tribes. So get on it, guys. Try it out. See what you think. If you found this video useful, smash that like button, smash that subscribe button, and drop a comment in the comment section if you've got any questions, or if you think I've missed anything, or if you've got your own tips for using Scorchers. Leave them in the comments below, and we'll help other people make the most of them. And guys, I will catch you for the next video. Enjoy it, have fun, and I'll catch you next time.